Okay, good morning YouTube. How you doing? It's just me by myself again, and today is a video that's very important to my heart and my mind, and it's this whole debate about don't ask, don't tell. I've gotten a lot of requests from people to talk about this, my experiences in the U.S. military, and I've been kind of hesitant because there's so much that I want to say that it's hard for me to wrap my brain around it. So I think today I'm just going to pretty much comment on what's happened this last week and what's going on right now in the Congress, the Senate, and with President Obama, and give you my perspective on things. First, I'd like to say when I went in the U.S. Army, I was 18 years old, and I was a closeted gay guy who was very insecure about my homosexuality. I wasn't out to pretty much anybody. I was out to, I think, my best friend at the time, who, that's a whole nother story. But I went in the U.S. Army partially to make myself straight, to figure out where I belonged in the world, and to basically find a place where I fit in and be a strong, confident, proud man. And that's pretty much that time in the U.S. Army has really given me uh, a foundation, basically, to live my life by. And I really enjoyed my 4 years in the military. I would do it all over again. I enjoyed the people I served with. I had a great time. I think it built a lot of confidence in me. And I am pro-military. I'm not necessarily pro-war, but I am pro-military. So now that's been said, I want to show you a clip.
Speaking for myself and myself only, it is my personal belief that allowing gays and lesbians to serve openly would be the right thing to do. No matter how I look at this issue, I cannot escape being troubled by the fact that we have in place a policy which forces young men and women to lie about who they are in order to defend their fellow citizens. For me, personally, it comes down to integrity. Theirs as individuals and ours as an institution.
Okay, so I want to thank Admiral Mike Mullen for what he just said, because I think it takes a lot of courage and a lot of balls to basically say what everybody knows, that gay and lesbians have the right to serve openly in the United States military and into most militaries in the world. And I think for him to finally step up and to make, as one of the leaders of our current military system, to make that type of statement about honor and integrity is important. It's important that gay people know that our service to the United States military is just as important as anybody else, and that we are honored and we are respected. And I think it's important that our leaders finally lead and they take the initiative to basically make those, to make those comments. And I want to thank you for that. I think it's also important that we get a little perspective on this. The United States is kind of freaked out about letting gays openly serve in the U.S. Army, but the truth is we are there. I mean, when I was in the U.S. military, there are tons of gay people in the U.S. Army, the Marines, the Navy, and the Air Force. We are not hidden. I mean, there are so many out gay people that are not persecuted on a day-to-day basis in the military that we are serving currently in the United States military. And to say anything different is kind of a joke. There's been a lot of debates about separate showers and separate living quarters and gay units. I mean, come on, give me a break. I mean, we are there. The type of people that go into the military are not people who are going into the military to flaunt their sexuality. They're there to serve their country. They're there to honor it, respect it, serve it, and that means going off and fighting in wars. That means putting your life on the line. And I think that is a decision that is a very hard decision for many people to make, and it shouldn't be poo-pooed by conservatives who are trying to basically say we're going to prey on the poor, innocent, straight soldiers. So thank you for having the guts of making the statement that you did, and I think it's a great step towards equality for our country, gay Americans and straight Americans. On that topic, I want to read you a list real quick of the countries that allow gay and lesbians to serve openly in their armed forces. Argentina, Australia, Austria, Belgium, Bermuda, Brazil, Canada, the Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Ireland, Israel, Italy, Lithuania, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Norway, Peru, the Philippines, which kind of caught me by surprise, Romania, Slovenia, South Africa, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, England, Uruguay. I mean, those are just some of the countries that allow gay and lesbians to serve openly in their military services. That blows my mind. Now, here's something I found very interesting that, we talk about honor and integrity as a country that values equality. But when you look at the list that America is grouped with, it's kind of surprising. So these are the countries that do not allow gay and lesbians to serve openly in the military. They include Cuba, China, Egypt, Greece, which kind of surprised me. Come on, Greeks. Iran, Jamaica, North Korea, Pakistan, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Serbia, Singapore, South Korea, Syria, Turkey, Venezuela, Yemen, and the United States. Now, what I found funny about that list is the countries that don't allow gay and lesbians to serve openly are countries that the United States is always calling the axis of evil. Basically, countries that don't value human rights, countries that we are constantly trying to penalize for their behavior when it comes to human rights. But yet America's right up there with them. I mean, we stand hand in hand in some of the worst countries in the world when it comes to human rights. And yet we stand here talking about our great democracy, our great leadership. It's kind of a joke, and I think we can do better than that.
The question before us is not whether the military prepares to make this change, but how we best prepare for it. We have received our orders from the Commander-in-Chief, and we are moving out accordingly. However, we can also take this process only so far, as the ultimate decision rests with you, the Congress.
This year, I will work with Congress and our military to finally repeal the law that denies gay Americans the right to serve the country they love because of who they are.
Okay, Gates, and okay, Obama. I was very, very disappointed to hear you say that we need to work with Congress and the Senate in order to get rid of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And I am going to explain why. Obama is the leader of the United States military. He has the power to get rid of Don't Ask, Don't Tell today. There's no reason that we need to work with the Congress and the Senate to make this decision. We have never, ever asked the Congress and the Senate to be involved in military regulations and laws. It's ridiculous to even think that they have a say in it. We just saw the whole healthcare debacle here in the United States, and we saw what debate did in the Congress and the Senate when it came to basically insuring people who are too poor and too sick to take care of themselves. And we can't even do that as Americans. And most Americans agree that we should take care of our poor, that we should provide for people who can't provide for themselves. How, if we can't pass a law that takes care of the sickest and the poorest Americans, are we possibly going to pass a law that gets rid of something as disgusting as Don't Ask, Don't Tell, when most Americans still feel very comfortable discriminating against gay and lesbian people? It doesn't make any sense, and I'll explain to you why later.
We can go back to President Truman, who took the audacity to integrate the services. At one time, my uncles and members of my race couldn't even serve in the military. And we moved to this point of where they're some of the best and brightest that we've had.
Okay, so as you may have just heard there, President Harry Truman, back in 1948, had the courage of, in an election year, when it was a very unpopular thing to do, what he did was he signed an executive order to integrate the military. And I think that is a lesson. We always say look to history to learn our lessons. Is a lesson that Obama and Gates and a bunch of our top military, even McCain, a bunch of our top military leaders can really look towards our history and see how we got rid of discrimination in our military. I wanted to read you the executive order that Harry Truman signed in 1948, and I think it's really to the point of what's happening now. And it's very simple, it's very simplistic, and it was very smart. And all Obama has to do today is do the same thing. Pass an executive order very similar to this and add sexual orientation to it. And it goes like this. Executive Order 9981. Establishing the President's Committee on Equality of Treatment and Opportunity in the Armed Forces. Whereas it is essential that there be maintained in the armed services of the United States the highest standards of democracy with equality of treatment and opportunity for all those who serve in our country's defense. Now therefore, by virtue of the authority vested in me, President of the United States, by the Constitution and the statutes of the United States, and as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Services, it is hereby ordered as follows. Very simple. It is hereby declared to be the policy of the President that there shall be equality of treatment and opportunity for all persons in the armed services with regard to race, color, religion, and national origin. The policy shall be put into effect as rapidly as possible, having due regard to the time required to effectuate any necessary changes without impairing efficiency or morale. And I think all Obama has to do is he has to look at history, he has to take an executive order and add sexual orientation to this order. And I think that would be the end of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. It gets rid of all the problems that we currently have in the military. You know, it doesn't really change anything because gays and lesbians are serving in the military today. It just stops them from being discharged and kicked out of the military for being who they are and serving openly and honestly. And I implore Obama, I'm asking Obama, I'm begging Obama to have the courage and the wisdom to understand that it is your responsibility as Commander-in-Chief to do this, to end this discrimination. You, when you ran for president, you made a promise to the gay and lesbian soldiers that you would do this. There have been a lot of gay and lesbian soldiers that have come out and declared that they were gay and lesbian people serving openly because they thought you had their back and that you would stand up for them in their times of needs. And, you know, it's really sad that they're still being discharged. You know, I had the honor of meeting Lieutenant Dan Choi in Washington, D.C., and, you know, he's one of many people who've been kicked out since you've been the president, and that kind of falls on you. So I would hope that, you know, you're going to give the Congress and the Senate a year to debate this. My instincts tell me that nothing's going to happen. That after that year, you have the courage to get rid of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And, you know, I would really hope that you would stop people being kicked out today. I mean, today. There are people losing their jobs today that could be serving our country honorably. You know, and I would really hope that you would have the courage to stop that today. So, for all you following Don't Ask, Don't Tell, that was my kind of political stance on it. Bryan kind of got angry with me today because he wanted me to do my more personal story about my personal journey in the military, which I've promised him I will make that video someday. But I felt like, you know, since these debates are going on, that I really needed to give you my political view on it. So until next time, you two, I hope to talk to you soon. Make those music songs for our contest, and I'll see you later.